In this video I'm going to show how to clean a bridle. Many people think that every time you use your bridle that you should clean it. I must confess I don't, but I am quite particular when I do start cleaning them. So I'll go through how I do that and show you what I use and how I do it. So how I start is I've already taken the reins off and I'm now going to put the bit in a bucket of hot water, and that can soak while I'm doing the rest of the leather. So I've got a bucket of water there and just plug that in. And then I'll start taking the bridle to bits. Some people will clean the bridles while they're all still in one piece. That's okay if you're doing it every day, but I still like to take it to pieces and then you're getting into all the nuts and crannies of it. Okay, so with a sponge, just any old sponge, it doesn't matter, bucket of hot water, and first of all wipe over all your leather work. Now horses, because of their animals they are and they live out some of the time and everything, they do get quite greasy. And so your leather work gets greasy. So you need to be going over it all. You see, if it was all still fastened together while you were cleaning, you wouldn't be able to clean in there and round these bits neither. So just keep going until you've wiped all the bridle. So any little areas where your buckles go, they might get dirty, so just bend your leather and just make sure you get in there. If you look after all your leather work, it will serve you well throughout the years. I've had leather work last me 20 years plus, as long as you look after it. So a bit of mud there, so give that a good scrub. Once the tack has been wiped over and is clean, once it's dried out, although you shouldn't be wetting it too much, once it's dried out, particularly in winter or if you're using your tack a lot in the rain or whatever, it can get very stiff and go like cardboard. At that point you run the risk of your leather snapping, and the way to deal with that is to use an oil that you put on the oops, better if you open the lid, that you put paint on the leather. And I just use a pastry brush. At the time the pastry brush was the only brush I had available to me, so that's what I used, and I've just carried on using it since. So if you dip the brush in the oil and then just start painting the oil on the tack. So the side to concentrate on is the rougher side of the leather, not the smooth side. Now you also want to be painting over the smoother side, but it is the rougher side that soaks up the leather. and the more oil you get in, the more supple your leather becomes, and the less chance you have of it snapping while you're riding, because that's one of the last things you want when you're riding. So I'm hoping you can just see what I'm doing on camera. There are various different oils on the market that you can use. Once upon a time you had to be very careful that the oil didn't rot your stitching on your leather work, but the newer oils nowadays just seem to avoid that. Once you've oiled all your leather work, just leave it to one side and let the leather oil soak in, and you know, you can then wipe over your bit, by which time it's had a soak and it's a little bit easier to clean. I just always tend to wash my bits in just warm water. I don't like the idea of the horses tasting anything, any chemicals or anything, so I just wash them in warm water. And that's it. And you can dry it. And just use a duster. Once again, that hasn't got anything else on it. So once you've oiled your tack and left it a while, and it's soaked in quite well, and you can see that, you know, it really won't take any more. If you've put oil on and it's soaked in straight away and there isn't any residue left on your tack, my advice would be to put some more oil on and just keep feeding it. If you're buying new tack, you can oil it 3 or 4 times the first time you're doing it, because it just drinks oil. But as you can see, that's quite supple. Right, so once your tack's ready for the next stage, you want to be taking a sponge that's damp, and I still like this type of saddle soap. There are other products on the market, there's spray-on saddle soaps and things, but I still like this one. And then you just wipe over the tack again with the soap on the sponge. I look at cleaning the tack, your leather work, as feeding it as well, because when you're oiling it, you're feeding it, and then this is glycerine saddle soap, that feeds it as well. Make sure the keepers are clean, these keepers, and underneath. So there you have it, there's your bridle cleaned. It's all ready to put back together again now.